Kamala Harris has made a career out of crashing through glass ceilings. The first female Attorney General of California, the first woman of colour in the US Senate, the first black and first South Asian woman to become Vice President-elect. But she says, don't fixate on firsts.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
The daughter of an Indian bioscientist and a Jamaican economist.
The fact that my mother never asked anyone permission to tell her what was possible.
Her supporters celebrated from the streets of America to her grandfather's village in India. While many headlines have majored on Harris's mixed heritage, the Vice President-elect says she doesn't agonise over her identity. I am who I am, she says, a proud American. Jill Lewis has known Kamala Harris since they were students at Howard University.
When she was elected and we saw the fireworks and everybody celebrating and you knew it was a done deal, how did you feel at that moment?
I said a prayer. I just praised God that we as a nation could be where we are today. And not that I suffer any illusions that, all is well, but we have hope.
What was Kamala like as a student? Because, was she nerdy? Was she fun? What kind of a student was she?
The person you see today is exactly how she was at Howard University. That bright laugh, the incisive discussion and commentary.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
As a senator, famously a formidable force.
Yes or no?
The president or anybody else.
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Her reputation as a fighter front and centre of her campaign.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
But the former prosecutor was a controversial choice for some, spending over a decade in law enforcement. In a summer where tear gas, tensions and talk of police brutality were high, Kamala Harris's past as a prosecutor was contentious for some in the black community. As California's Attorney General, she was criticised for largely avoiding intervening in cases involving killings by police and repeatedly defying Supreme Court orders to reduce overcrowding in prisons, causing Kamala is a cop memes to be widely shared during her campaign. On the climate crisis, she couldn't be clearer.
The idea that we pulled ourselves out of the Paris Agreement was outrageous.
The daughter of a civil rights activist with activism in the blood, she would go on to be an LGBT ally and regular at San Francisco Pride, officiating California's first same-sex wedding.
These marriages are legitimate, they are legal, and they are going to continue, and it's about time.
Undeniably a natural orator.
So the first time I meet my mother-in-law, she looks at me, she puts my face in her hand. So it's Barb and Mike, my father-in-law's Mike. She puts my face in her hand. She looks at me and she says, "Oh, look at you. You're prettier than you're on television. Mike, look at her." No.
As we know only too well in the UK, politicians and dancing don't always mix. But Kamala Harris is a political mover and shaker.
We did it, Joe.
Who, returning to the fixation with firsts many predict in 2024, could smash the ultimate glass ceiling and become the first female black president.
The signature laugh of Kamala Harris there. Well, earlier I spoke to Susie Loftus, former interim San Francisco district attorney and friend and former colleague of the US Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. I began by asking her what her victory meant for her personally.
What her victory represents to me and to so many people across this country is we've made history. Not only is she the first woman ever to be elected vice president in this country in over our 200-year history, but she's the first African-American woman. She's the first South Asian woman. And so for me and for my three daughters, she's made history and made us all very proud. What is she like as a person? She's what you see is what you get. She is a hard-working, hard-charging, smart, effective leader, and this country needs her.
How tough is she?
Well, I hope some of your viewers were able to see her examine and I guess interrogate could be a word, some of President Trump's officials around how they've been handling everything from our judiciary, to the coronavirus. She asks tough questions. She's been a courtroom prosecutor like myself. So she's prepared, she's tough, she asks the right questions. But I think what's really important is she's fair, and she's someone who's worked with, you know, people who've lost their children to violence. You know, she's worked with people whose children have been harmed. She knows how to build bridges and heal communities, and that toughness serves her, but her ability to bring people together also does.
But she was also famously tough on the man that she's now working with, on her boss, Joe Biden, during the Democratic debates in the run-up to the nomination. Do you think they'll actually get along with each other?
Oh, I absolutely know that they do. And the thing you have to know about, I love saying this, Vice President-elect Harris, is that she's been in politics and she's been in tough races all of her career. So to her, you know, asking tough questions in a debate, that's politics. And I think Joe Biden, we just know that he got elected 50 years ago this year. So they've both been in this arena, if we call it, for a long time, and they understand what it looks like. And there's tough questions and there's some jabs, but at the end of the day, this is a team.
Do you think that in the back of her mind, she might be expecting that he will only be a one-term president and that she then takes over?
Well, you know, I think she addressed this in her remarks and said she wants to be the type of vice president that Joe Biden was to President Obama. And what we see is someone who checks their own ego and approaches it like a team. And the reality is, this country, we've got coronavirus across and numbers growing every day. We've got an economy that's stalled. We have kids who aren't back in school. And I think what you're going to see from Vice President-elect Harris is someone who's hyper-focused on doing the job, and whatever way she can support this president and bringing back this country, that's what she's going to do. You've
told us what she's like politically. Tell us what she's like as a friend.
She is such a lovely, kind person. She's the person who will call my mom and wish her happy birthday by singing to her. She's the person who, you know, at various times in my career, I was up for a post here in San Francisco, and she was the attorney general at the time. And she just came and sat with my daughter and I sort of in the audience, waiting for them to vote on whether I would get this police commission post. And they said, "Oh, Attorney General Harris, would you like to speak?" And she said, no, she just took pictures on her iPhone and said, I'm here to support Susie. So she is someone who is incredibly loyal and kind, and has surrounded herself with really smart people, and some of my best friends in the world.